Hi, this is Smriti from AptiWizard. Here is the video I promised on how you can improve your score in RCs. Using these tips, you will be able to improve your understanding of RC passages, plus you will be able to improve your accuracy while solving RCs. Okay, so the first thing is, when you're reading a passage, you need to understand the passage properly. Otherwise, when you're solving the questions, you will keep going back to the passage again and again in order to look for the correct answer. Now, all this does is it wastes your time, and we don't have that much time when we are solving the RC passages because we are in a timed testing environment. So what we need to do is we need to understand the passage in one go. We need to understand the passage the first time we read it. Now, how we can do that is, when we are reading the passage, make a paragraph-wise gist, okay? So a gist is just a short summary of what a particular paragraph is all about, okay? So you read the first paragraph, you make a one-line summary of what this paragraph is trying to tell us, okay? Then you read the second paragraph and you again make a summary of what the second paragraph is trying to tell us. You can connect the second paragraph summary to the first paragraph summary, okay? Then you read the third paragraph, make a summary and connect it to the above two summaries. So all in all, by the time you reach the end of the passage, what you will have is a one-line summary of each and every paragraph in the passage, okay? Now, how this helps is that, first thing, when you write a summary, you write it after thinking about the paragraph. So you have actually understood the paragraph in a better way, okay? Second thing is, when you write those summaries down, you're actually writing down the logical structure of the passage, okay? The logical structure is nothing but the flow of ideas in the passage. And it is really important for us to understand the structure of the passage in order to understand the passage, and also there may be a question about the logical structure. So for both of these reasons, we need to make those summaries paragraph-wise when we are reading the passage. Now, this is something that, when you start doing it, it may look like it's taking a lot of time, and, you may think that how on earth I'm going to do this in the actual test timing. So this is something that you only have to do while you're preparing, right? So when we are preparing, there are a number of things that we do in order to, help us solve the questions. But obviously, we don't do all of that in the final examination, right? Because by the time we take the final GRE, we are quite accustomed to solving these kind of questions. So basically, it becomes a mental habit, right? Initially, you may even, use a pen and paper to add or subtract stuff for the GRE quant part. But later on, you may be doing all the calculations, most of the calculations mentally, right? In the same way, when you are reading an RC passage, initially, you need to make those paragraph-wise summaries of each and every paragraph in the passage, okay? Doing this small work makes us understand the passage in a better way, okay? It also helps us understand the flow of ideas, the logical structure of the passage, okay? Which again helps us in the overall understanding, the overall comprehension of the passage, okay? And with practice, with time, as we reach closer to the real GRE, we get this done automatically, okay? It becomes a habit, and it just gets automatically done mentally, so you won't even need to write down anything when you're taking your mock tests, okay? But in order to reach that stage, you need to do it right now while practicing. Once you have practiced like 60, 70 passages, you will be through. Everything will be done mentally, okay? So I know this looks hard and it looks time consuming, but it really is something that, it has a high ROI. So you need to put that effort in and the return will be good, okay? Trust me on this. So using this tip, you can actually read the passage and understand it in a little better manner. The second tip is, when you're reading the passage, besides the logical structure that we just talked about, also look for the main idea. So what is the main idea? The main idea is not the topic of the passage, okay? The main idea is the author's opinion on the topic of the passage, okay? So suppose the passage is talking about the theory of relativity, okay? So theory of relativity is basically the subject of the passage. The main idea would be what the author thinks about theory of relativity. What is the author's opinion on theory of relativity? That would be the main idea, okay? So if the author says, I support something, or the author says, I oppose something, that is what is the main idea of the passage, okay? So we need to understand what is the main idea. And main idea is usually, now this is a very important tip, main idea is usually contained in the beginning of the passage or the end of the passage, okay? Because this is how usually people write articles, people write essays in this way, right? Go back to the school times, you know, remember when you used to write essays on particular topics, and how you really wrote it was, you had a particular structure, you wrote an introduction, a body, and then the conclusion, right? So say you had to take a stand on the topic of the essay. Where will you take that stand? You will take that stand either in the beginning, in the introduction, like you will mention your stand, and then you will continue the essay by providing points in support of your point of view, support of the stand that you have taken. This is one possible structure. Or what you will do is you will provide all the background, the story, you build your point of view, and then at the end you will say, therefore, this is what I think, okay? So usually the point of view of the author, or what we call the main idea of the RC passage, it is contained in the beginning of the passage or towards the end of the passage, okay? So this is mostly a safe bet. If you don't find the main idea in the beginning or the end, try looking it in the paragraphs somewhere. All right, mostly it's contained in the first couple of sentences or the last couple of sentences of any of the paragraphs, or in the entire passage. Now, this is something that works 90% of the time, but I'm not saying that this will work in every passage. This is just a tip that helps us a lot in figuring out the main idea. However, my advice is that figure out the main idea depending upon what the author is really saying. So figure out the meaning of the passage by making those summaries paragraph wise, and you will understand what the main idea is, okay? The main idea is what the author feels about the topic of the passage. So when you read the passage's structure will basically automatically takes you towards the main idea, okay? The author will develop his points, and then he will tell you what he thinks about that topic, okay? So hunt for the main idea and look for the structure of the passage. These are the two main things that we need to do in order to understand an RC passage in a better manner. Okay. Now, another very important tip to understand an RC better is we need to visualize the RC passage as an argument, okay? So if you have studied reasoning for GRE Verbal, so GRE Verbal reasoning has those questions which are based on critical reasoning, okay? Strengthen the argument, weaken the argument, okay? Assumptions. So these are the kind of questions that you get in RC. They may be a single para question, or these questions may be contained in the passage form, in the long passage form, okay? So these questions are based on reasoning, okay? And in reasoning, we have this concept of an argument. An argument is not a disagreement or a fight of any kind in reasoning. In reasoning, an argument is just a point of view or an opinion that is put forward. And in order to prove this opinion or point of view, the author puts forward certain supporting statements, okay? So you pick up any single paragraph RC or a long RC, or you pick up any article, okay, from or any editorial from any of the news articles, from any of the newspapers, for example, you will find that they are always talking about something. And they write an entire passage or an entire article about that particular topic, and they want to prove their point of view. They want to put forward their main idea, and in order to prove that main idea, they write the entire article with the statements which are in support of that idea. Okay, they may also mention the opposing point of view, but their aim is that opposing point of view is also there, but this is the reason why my point of view is correct. Okay, so every article, every passage is there to prove to you, to convince you of the author's main idea. Okay, so we need to understand that when we are reading the passage, and we need to understand that RC is just a long argument. Okay, so just like we deal with arguments in verbal reasoning, we need to deal with the RC. Okay, so we just need to break down the reading comprehension passage into the main idea or the conclusion and the supporting statements and facts and figures, which in reasoning we call premises. Okay, so there's a video that I have kept unlocked in my GRE verbal course, which explains to you properly in detail what an argument is in verbal reasoning. It will be really helpful to go through that video at this stage, because you will be able to understand it better in that form. I am linking that video in the description below, so you can just watch it and use it to visualize the RC as an argument, and go from there. Okay, so that is another tip that you can use to understand the RC in a better way. Okay, so now once we have read the RC, we have made those summaries paragraph wise, we have understood the logical structure of the passage, and we have also found out the main idea of the passage. Okay, we have also figured out all the supporting statements, supporting paragraphs, opposing paragraphs in the passage. Okay, so once we have done all of this activity, okay, we move on to answering the questions. Now, there are a few traps present in the option choices, okay, which I would like to discuss, because this will help you in eliminating the incorrect answer choices, and thereby narrowing it down for you to pick the correct answer choice. So always remember that any option that is too extreme is usually not correct. Okay, so one very common trap in RC passages is that the passage says something like, most of the people do this, while the option says everybody does it. Okay, so understand that passage says most, whereas the option says everyone. Okay, or passage says few people do this, while the option says nobody does this. So this is what is exaggeration or misrepresentation of facts. So anything that is misrepresenting the information that is given in the passage or is too extreme for an option choice is usually not correct. It may be a trap, so always cross-check it with the passage to see what the passage said and what the option is saying, and then if it's correct, it's okay. If it's not correct, eliminate that option. Okay. The second tip for answering questions is that don't get stuck on one option. Now, this is also a very common mistake with the test takers. That you read the first option, you think this is incorrect, you eliminate it. You go ahead and read the second option and you feel it's correct. That clock is also ticking. So you think this is correct and you quickly mark it and you move on to the next question. Now, it may be possible that this option that you have marked was not really correct. There may be something slight which is wrong with this option. Okay, But you will not know that this option is wrong unless and until you read the rest of the 3 options and find a more appropriate option, okay? So you need to read all the options carefully, even if you think you have found the correct answer, okay? It's not just that you are looking for the correct option, but you are also looking to eliminate all the other options. This is the most important thing that we need to understand in order to mark the answers correctly. We need to be able to understand which option is correct, why it is correct, and why the other options are incorrect. Okay, there is always some logic behind the incorrect options. Okay, there is something that makes each option incorrect, each of the other options incorrect, and we need to understand why, what that logic was. Okay, so this is something, I make it a point in my classes to discuss all the options with the students. So we always figure out what is wrong with the incorrect options, because it helps us in getting closer to the correct answer, and it helps us in eliminating the incorrect choices, because sometimes elimination is the way to go. Okay. All right. Plus, you can also mark your correct answer more confidently. In that case, more confidence means quicker solving of the questions ahead of you. Okay. All right. Another trap is that the question asks you to mark the main idea, and you mark the option that is correct according to the passage, but not the main idea. Okay. So here is where the classic confusion between main idea and inference happens. Okay. Please note that these are two separate things. Main idea is the reason author is writing the passage. This is what the author is trying to convince you of. An inference is something that is true according to the information given in the passage, but not necessarily the main idea. Okay. There can be multiple inferences from the passage, but there will always be just one main idea. So we need to differentiate between main idea and inference, because this is one of the common mistakes that we make while answering the questions. Okay. All right. And always remember that a passage has a scope. Okay. All the story that the author is building in the passage remains within that scope. So any answer choices that look as if they're going beyond the scope of the passage will not be true. Okay. So that is also how you can eliminate the incorrect answer choices. Okay. Having said that, majorly the questions, especially the difficult ones in RCs, are reasoning based. Okay, so you will very often find a passage with questions like, which of the following options will strengthen the author's argument, or will weaken or will undermine the author's statement in paragraph number 2, or something like that. Okay, or something like, which of the options has to be true in order for the information given in the passage to be true, something like that. So all these questions are based on reasoning. Now, really few people talk about verbal reasoning in GRE, but this is something which is really, really important. I really focus on this in my course. So this is just a short video to tell you a few tips and tricks. Okay, so that's about it. Try using these tips while you are solving the passages next, and let me know if you have found these tips helpful in the comments below. And if you have any more queries related to RC, or you want to suggest a topic that you will want to make a short video on, please suggest to me in the comments box, and keep learning.